got to tell you, it is an absolute delight to actually see people in front of me, as opposed to 9 faces arranged on a screen, and I don't have to unmute my mic before I can say anything. You know, but it is awesome to be able to be together in a room, because we've been so limited in terms of the kind of contact we can have with each other. En ek weet julle ken almal mekaar en julle werk saam. But there is that personal boundary thing. I don't know if you've picked it up. Us mense nou face to face moet praat, and then you see someone, you go like, oh, I know you, but can I hug you? Or are you the L bump kind of person, or what do we do? And then eventually it all comes right and it all relaxes as it does. You know, they say history repeats itself, and they say that things happen in cycles, as they do. And I find it quite interesting that it's almost to the month 100 years ago, the world faced a very different pandemic called the Spanish flu, which we started in 1920. And that killed off about 50 million people. That's more than the entire amount of lives lost in World War II. I mean, just so picture it, you know. Italy, Sicily, 1923. It was a Golden Girls reference. Did anyone watch Golden Girls? Did anyone watch Golden Girls? Don't you remember Sophia? She would always go, picture it, Sicily, 1923. Seriously, I've got to tell you, the circumstances we have found ourselves in and the kind of year we've had has left me so overwhelmed that and this doesn't happen often, find myself at a loss for words. So I had to go trawling the library for people more eloquent than myself. So humor me, go with me on this, okay? I want you to picture it, 1920, post-World War I, you know, the automobile, the flapper dress, the cotton club, the mafia. And I'd like to read you a letter written by the great American author F. Scott Fitzgerald to his wife. My dearest Rosemary, it was a limpid, dreary day, hung as in a basket from a single dull star. I thank you for your letter. Outside, I perceive what may be a collection of leaves fallen tussling against a trash can. It rings like jazz to my ears. The streets are that empty. It seems as though the bulk of the city has retreated to their quarters, rightfully so. At this time, it seems very poignant to avoid all public spaces, even the bars, as I told Hemingway. But to that he punched me in the stomach, to which I asked if he had washed his hands. He hadn't. He is much the denier, that one. Why, he considers the virus just to be influenza. I'm curious of his sources. The officials have alerted us to ensure that we have a month's worth of necessities. Zelda and I have stocked up on red wine, whiskey, rum, vermouth, absinthe, white wine, sherry, gin, and, if we need it, brandy. Klink vir my soos 'n gewone Vrydagmiddag in Pretoria Oos, maar anyway. Please pray for us. You should see the square. Oh, it is terrible. I weep for the damned eventualities this future brings. The long afternoons rolling forward slowly on the ever-slick bottomless highball. Zelda says it's no excuse to drink, but I simply can't seem to steady my hand. In the distance, from my brooding perch, the shoreline is cloaked in a dull haze, where I can discern an unremitting penance that has been heading this way for a long, long while. And yet, amongst the cracked cloud line of an evening's cast, I focus on a single strain of light, calling me forth to believe in a better tomorrow. Faithfully yours, F. Scott Fitzgerald. Now, isn't that incredibly eerie? It's 100 years later, and here we are again. And what have we learnt What didn't we learn? What did we ignore from the first time around? And what are we still learning? What I find fascinating is that Fitzgerald chose to focus on that single stream of light beckoning him towards a brighter future. And it is the ladies who have been those single beams of light that we celebrate here tonight. And you'll meet them all a bit later, and we'll have a little chat to them. Because they've managed through all this darkness to still shine brightly and bring love and light to other people's lives, despite everything. And we have so much to be thankful for, hence our theme of a Thanksgiving dinner. And that's not a reference to the American holiday. It's a deeply African sense of gratitude for all that we have. In the same breath, we need to remember that there are so many people that have been robbed of so much of their lives and are no longer have the means to be with us tonight, or are quite literally no longer with us. And on that note, it is a celebration of these fantastic women and their incredible achievements. But I'd like you to also take a moment tonight for introspection and look a little inward and take a moment for reflection. We have a beautiful chapel just across the little Damaki, the pond, outside. And in there you'll see a table with a bank of candles. And I'd like you, at some stage of the evening, to go and think about someone who is less fortunate, someone who is no longer with us, and light a candle for them. And at some point in the evening, I'd like you to lend your voice to an incredibly important campaign. And that is the 16 days of activism against women and child abuse. It's a United Nations campaign, and it runs from the 25th of November, which is the International Day of Activism Against Women Abuse, until the 10th of December, which is International Human Rights Day. And considering this unacceptable amount of gender-based violence in this country, this particular cause sits very high on MISA's agenda and on their radar. So please take a moment, look into the camera, state your name and your support for 16 days of activism, and lend your voice to the choir. Time for me to introduce a formidable woman to you. I say formidable because she manages to tread the line between fierce and deeply nurturing. She's MISA's matriarch, Mama Martli Keiter.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. If I start saying welcome on behalf of everyone that I normally should in the hierarchy of MISA, I'll introduce everyone, and as you know, we're a very small group tonight. I'm humbled to be here, and I think the most important thing for me, and the reason why, is that as MISA, we always say that we are a family. For those, the finalists and the families coming in, is that you have been gulped up and been part of the family, so get used to it. They're very loud. They don't drink a lot. Depends on how they have to behave and what function they need to attend. So from my side and everyone that's important in our lives, I would like to say welcome. It's wonderful to see you all. For the finalists is that when we started in 2009, the crowd that you see here was the crowd that we had that evening. We have grown, we have expanded. Last year we had a huge year, but this year we realized that we need to tone it down to have, I'm going to use a very trade union word, and that is have solidarity with our members in the industry. Now, you won't hear it again, because trade unions is not supposed to say, well, they are, but they normally don't. So all I want from you is it's small, it's intimate. I have no idea. It's totally out of my nature because I am a control freak. I have no idea what's going to hit you tonight or me, but if you enjoy it, it will be the best. Thank you.
There is a very new, exciting chapter on a visual level that we need to explore. And I'd like to invite Heidi Reed from the Women's Forum and Jean Beck, representing the Young Workers Forum, to join me on stage, please. And they are going to be unveiling the respective new logos. You know what they look like. You can see them through the cloth. Stand behind the right one. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Heidi, I'm going to ask you to say a couple of words just to explain what it's all about.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. It was a great honor to unveil the new logos. It's been in our 11th year now, and we've progressed from the flower the colorful flower that we had, to these lovely new logos. And it's a great honor to have walked this path with MISA for the last 11 years. And I'm sure that we're still going to grow from strength to strength.